Hello, everyone. Welcome to my channel, Micah Let's Play. And guess who I am? I'm Micah, pairing to you from beyond the veil. And guess who's with me? A lovely lady by the Chronicles of Nira. And I'm going to let her introduce herself. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Micah. Hello, everybody. Hi, I'm Noria of Chronicles of Noria. It is such an honor, and I'm just so happy to be here. Just because Micah and I have been mutuals. You know, I'm still shocked because Micah reached out and was like, "Noria, I love your content. I love your channel." And I'm like, "I love your content and I love your channel." And we have this whole mutual geeking out because we both love Dragon Age, and then just the chance to make this video in celebration of the latest iteration of it is just making me so happy. So hello everybody, I am Noria, Chronicles of Noria. I make YouTube content, which I'm certain a lot of people are like, duh, of course you make YouTube content. You're making one right now.
Right? But still, you never know. You never know.
Never know. So I make YouTube content, usually about characters and stories and themes, and that cuts across different media, movies, TV shows, but also specifically video games, specifically BioWare video games, specifically for this video.
I love it. This is why we have her. Do you understand? This is why she's here. Okay? We ain't playing games today. We rolling up our sleeves, kids. We doing this. But guys, just so you know, like I said, that is my girl. She is awesome. I highly recommend you check out her channel. In the video description, check her out. I'll have a playlist of her videos surrounding Dragon Age and other content that she does, which is absolutely good. And then also, this is what were we gonna say?
Yes, because I was going to say that because this is a two-part video. I would also have all of Micah's information linked in the description bar, including some of my absolutely favorite videos that Micah's made that I will drop in because I do love the way in which Micah just palpably reacts to things that make me happy about the game. Because I'm like, yeah, you get it.
Right? Look, this is why we're here. I keep saying it. So yes, this is a two-part video. So whichever one you see first, make sure you go see the other person so you don't miss out on what's happening. So what I want to do is I'm a gentleman, so I'm going to let the lady go first. Let her ask the first question. We're both going to have questions to ask each other, but we're also both going to answer it. So that way you get two different perspectives. And we might be aligned, we may not be, but let's just see what happens.
Okay, so thank you, Micah, for letting me go first. And the first question I would ask, because everybody that is watching this right now, we are all Dragon Age fans, right? Mm-hmm. We love this world. We love the stories. And so the first question I have is, what was it about Dragon Age that pulled you in?
Ooh, okay. Well, honestly, I mean, I'm pretty sure we can all say the same thing. It is the story and the characters. Like, how do I put this? To make this clear, to make this quite plain, I've never played the first two Dragon Age games. I've only played Inquisition. But with that said, that shows you how good this world is and the narrative. Like, I seriously have additional media of this. I have books and like I watch the animated shows, and it really is the story. And I think it's always been the story, like, how do I put it? And the story is so human. Like, it's like everyday people, whether they're human, Qunari, dwarves, or what have you, we're all facing the same type of uphill challenges, rather they be huge or very interpersonal, kind of like with Hawk, but it is definitely the story, and it always makes you feel something and makes you see things differently. I hope that makes sense to you guys.
Yes.
Like,
yes, it does.
Like, depending on how you play and your world state, it's like, it's those little choices that you would even say, like, you know what, that's probably how I would answer in real life. When certain things go down, and we'll touch on that later. But that's my answer. How about you? What do you have?
Okay. Because also, of course, the story is very important, and it does lure and draw you in. And I would personally say that as well, that for me, it was the characters. And I know characters exist within stories to serve the stories, right? They exist to give us a feel of the world, to give us an understanding of, what the consequences are, what the stakes are within this world, and to show just how lived in it is. I think that's the thing about Dragon Age that I love. It's such a lived in universe. Right? Because you run into characters doing their own things, usually sometimes from other games, and just wandering around, and you get to just be like, okay, I am meeting these characters. Who are they? What are their stories? What are their backgrounds? What drives them? What propels them? And usually that is what just gets me hooked. So I, because I'm nosy, and I'm like, oh my God, I would like to know that. And like you, I have only really played Dragon Age Inquisition. We would go into the why of it because it's not from lack of, I don't want to play the other games. I'll tell you. But I have watched several playthroughs of the other games, and I watch them religiously because I really do want to be as invested in the world, like you said, the other media. The fact that you have the fact that the team at BioWare is so creative in how they envisioned this world, this full-rounded, well-rounded characters with backstory, with motivations, right? You have characters like, I remember the first time I was playing the game, I would give an example of why I love the characterizations of this game so much. The first time I was playing the game, I know, Micah, you're more religious than I am, but I remember running into Mother Giselle, and I was just like, she is such an amazing representation of someone of faith that is at the core a very good person. Right? And she's also there as such a marked contrast with to other people of faith in that world who are not good people.
Yes. Yes.
And so I look at it, I'm like, I remember the first time I was like, you are fascinating, because I think she just perfectly represents that BioWare is very good at giving depth to these characters. Right? You have the ones that are, even the ones that are all evil are not cartoonishly evil.
They're not twirling their mustaches.
They're not twirling their mustaches and giving you villains, of course, except for Corypheus. But Corypheus's line went hard. I am sorry. Every single time I replay that scene, I'm like, right? I've been to the throne of the gods and it was empty. I get chills because I'm like, you are you give us the villain dialogue, but it was so good, so I'm going to forgive you. But the way with BioWare writes, none of these characters are going to be permanently evil, right? True. Some of them that you might be like, oh, these are terrible. You see that human beings, regular people, they go through growth, they learn, they evolve, right? Colin that we get from Origins is vastly different from the Colin we meet in Inquisition, and we get to follow his story, and we get to follow how he grows, and we get to follow his addiction to lyrium and him making the conscious effort to do better, to be a better person. And I love that is the core of Dragon Age stories, and it makes me so happy. So yes, that is what pulled me in.
To all of you who are watching, what was it? What is it that not only got you to say, was it a commercial? Was it us, we found the game later, but we were like, oh my God, this story, and I'm so invested, and I haven't even picked up a controller. And again, just like Noria was saying, this is a testament to the writing and the storytelling, and then the characterization. Like I said, it's a very human story. Despite everything that's going on, it's about people trying to do their best in almost impossible circumstances, and it's just again, to any BioWare devs, fantastic.
All the
Like,
kisses.
yes.
You're amazing.
Yeah, look, if y'all just want me to read something, look, I'll be a proofreader. Whatever you need, I'm here. So that is our first question. That was an excellent answer. Okay, so for our second question, I want to ask you, what was your first DA exposure? So what was your first time being exposed to Dragon Age?
Age.
Yeah.
Okay, this answer is very funny. Because a lot of the time when I talk to Dragon Age fans, everybody's like, oh, I saw this commercial or I saw this and all of that. Like, nope. See, mine was a bit different. I found Dragon Age in 2017. And it's such a clear memory for me, which is saying a lot because sometimes memories can be shady things.
Yeah.
So I took a long break from playing video games because my stepfather, I call my dad because he raised me. My stepdad was very big on, and I'm going to use those words, dad and stepdad interchangeably, but it's still the same person. So
Gotcha.
My dad was like, okay, you are too invested in video games. This was back when I had the NES, and he was like, we need to do something about you, because I don't know, to him, he did not think that this could in any way lead to anything good. So when my NES, broke and all of that, I didn't get new video games. And so I didn't have any video games for like almost 15 years, about 15, 16 years. It was a long time. And so 2017, I had my own money. I had my own job. And I was like, there's just something about being like, you earn your own money and you can make your own purchasing decisions. And so I was like, I want a PS4. I want a PlayStation 4. So I bought the PlayStation 4, and it did come with Horizon Zero Dawn. And I was like, okay, but this is a game that was forced on me. I did enjoy it, but I was like, this was not a game I chose. So I went to the store and I was like, I want to buy a video game. And the store manager was like, what video game? And I'm like, I don't know.
Right?
Like, I don't know. Let me just look around. Let's see if anything calls to me. Right. And so I'm going through the shelves, and then I see Dragon, and I'm like, ooh, I like Dragon. Right? I was like, I like dragons. This is a fantasy story. And like the Dragon Age Inquisition cover was just drew me in. I was like, all the greens, the dragon was there. And I was like, ooh, I know all these people, because I turned around and you could see like the council. And I was like, oh my God, who are these people? What is this story? And okay, I am interested in this. So that was I had never heard of the game prior to that. I had no idea of the context. I did not even know that it was a third game in a series. I was just like, there's dragons. It's pretty. I like dragons. Right. I also like fantasy stories. Right. And so Dragon Age Inquisition was the first game I bought for my PS4. Like that, I was like, okay, I am buying for myself. And so therefore, and it was also the gateway for other BioWare games, but Dragon Age would always hold a special place in my heart for it. So that was my first introduction and exposure to the world, to the games. And what about you, Micah?
Well, for me, it's kind of funny. Our stories are oddly similar, and let me explain. Okay. Okay, so guys, just so you know, I am 40. I'm actually 41. Correction, I'm 41. So
you do not look a day over 20, but please.
Muchas gracias, bonita. Black don't crack, y'all. To make a long story short, back in 2009, remember those times? My beloved wife and I got married, and during that time period from 2009 to 2020, I never had a game console. Because I had moved out, even I had already moved out and all that stuff. But at this time, I just didn't have a game console. And I was very career oriented. I was very focused on building wealth and building family establishment. So, but I still loved video games. I grew up playing video games. Like, I think I was 6 when I played my very first video game. And that was like Super Mario and Duck Hunt, if you remember those games.
Wait, oh my god. My enemy, that duck always flew away. I only got one shot in. I'm so annoyed. But please, every time I remember that game, I'm like,
Look. So one day, my wife and I were sharing a YouTube channel at the time. And my wife would like to watch prank videos, like couples that would do pranks. One of the couples so happened to be a lesbian couple. I do not know these women's name, but that was just one of the couples she would watch, and she found them very funny and cute. And I would watch Let's Plays. And that's kind of when I first started kind of getting back into gaming properly, back in 2017, 2018, right? So now, one day, from her watching that and me watching gaming videos, one day a suggested video popped up. And it was Mass Effect Andromeda. I had forgotten about Mass Effect because I played it a long time ago with my brother. Oh, what's this game? It looks cool. You can create your own character, give yourself a backstory. Fudge yeah, right? So I saw this video and it was Mel Ryder kissing Reyes. And it so randomly popped up when the video was playing, and the line that got me was when Reyes was like, "You have bad taste in men." And Ryder, that beautiful rugged voice said, "The worst." And I said,
sorry, please continue.
No, it's okay. When I say a boy was shooketh, I said, I have never seen gay romances in a video game. What the fuck is this? So I typed in Mass Effect Andromeda on YouTube. And so I was seeing how people were saying it sucked and they didn't like it. And I'm like, no, I need to understand what this is. I don't care what your opinion is. I need to understand this. So I typed in gay Let's Play Mass Effect, and a channel popped up by the name of Angel Arts. And I was like, what is this? I was like, what the hell is an Angel Arts? I don't understand. I'm confusion. So I go to his channel and he's like, hi everyone, this is Angel Arts. And he starts talking about gay Let's Play. And I'm like, again, I'm bisexual, just so y'all know. In case you haven't figured it out now, welcome. So I'm like, okay, I need to understand what this is. And I was watching his Mass Effect Let's Play, but then I saw this thing say Dragon Age. And I'm like, and I remember, again, guys, I got married in 2009 when Dragon Age Origins dropped. Okay, so put that in your mind. I would remember seeing the red dragon, the blue-eyed warden. I remember these trailers, but I ignored them because at the time, I really wasn't into fantasy games like that. I was more into Tomb Raider, Resident Evil, Street Fighter. That was more my jam. So then I just so happened to go to it. It was Dragon Age Origins because I went to his playlist and I said, oh, this is interesting. So I went to it, and Angel Arts started playing this game. And when I saw there was choices and I could love the way I love in real life, and I understood that I could craft a character to somewhat mirror my own appearance, I had never experienced that before. And I mean, I have never experienced that before in any type of game. So when I saw that, and something about it, it spoke to my spirit. And then that Origins story, now you all know who have played Origins or have seen it like we have, there's something visceral about that story that draws you in. And after I watched the first two Let's Plays, I was hooked. And I started trying to find everything I could about this universe. And it led me to channels like Jackdoor and Gildatharn and so many other content creators whose videos will be in the video description, their channels. So that's my first exposure to Dragon Age. So it's kind of, like I said, it's kind of weird. We both had this time gap with, playing video games. And in 2017, we run into this incredible universe. So
it's so good. But yes, I also really loved, that chance to craft a character, right?
Yeah.
Because I know that people are like, oh, in Inquisition's character creator sucks and all of that. And I'm like, yes, 50 Shades of Bold.
And the green lighting, because you have some abominations coming out the page.
I'm telling you, and I'm always playing elves. I'm always making them black elves because
right.
Every single time someone is like, Black people cannot be in fantasy. What do you mean by they are black elves? I take my time to create yet another black elf.
That part.
Because I'm like,
right. Say what? There's chocolate up in them heels. Don't play.
So that has always been entertaining. But yes, it's just and it's okay, we're going to get into that in a bit. But I really do, like you said, the warden story.
Yeah.
How they go from being the warden to being the hero of Ferelden. And then you realize that is basically the story for the characters we get. It's consistent with the franchise, whereby you have someone who starts off perfectly ordinary,
right,
stepping up to the plate and taking up a responsibility and helping to save the world. And the fact that we get to do that, we rook in like what?
Right?
By the time
like,
this
I'm
video
ready.
drops in a week.
Right? Like, yeah, okay, we're vibing. I hope y'all vibing with us right now. Just saying.
So I think my turn, and the question I have is, because I started by saying that what drew me into Dragon Age, right, is the characters, not what first let, because I reached for it because it said dragons and I saw dragons, but what drew me into the franchise, into the world, is the characters. And so therefore my next question is, who is your favorite Dragon Age character? Or you can have multiple, and why? And this can cross across the different games, or if it's just Inquisition, that's also fine. But who's your favorite Dragon Age character or characters, and why?
Okay, well, that's a good ask. I would say I have a favorite or favorites in each game, and I'll do them in order in which of the series. So I would say in Dragon Age Origins, it is most definitely Morgan, and not for the reasons you think. No, most people like Morgan because it's a given. She's hot. Like, a hot goth.
She's my goth witch. Right? She's my goth girlfriend witch.
Right. But I liked Morgan because I liked her, how she saw the world, how she was raised, and how she was kind of thrust into the world. Now, I know a lot of you may not be able to relate to stuff like this, but I grew up kind of sheltered. My mother kind of, wrapped me up in bubble wrap and said, okay, you only have this much string to go on. Now, I'm not mad at my mom for this. She's a mom, and I was her youngest child. I'm the youngest of 6, okay? So she's just being a mom. But when I got that first dose of, well, now you're an adult, here's the world, it was almost like Morgan, like her mother was like, oh, well, you can take my daughter. And she was like, wait, huh? Well, this is what you wanted, right? You wanted to get out of the house. And she was like, yeah, but almost kind of not like this, but okay, And I related to that in ways you guys can't imagine. Because, we grow up in these bubbles, right? In the comfort of home and safety with mom and dad and siblings. And then you're out in the world and you're just exposed to everything. And that can change a person. And I like how Morgan still was herself, but you see how she had a painted view of the world, how she saw it when she would shapeshift into animals, and kind of like how we do. Sometimes we mold ourselves to our environment to kind of better get a taste of the water or feel more comfortable if we wear veneers, And I don't know, being a Black person, you have to do that. You have to wear a mask to fit in. And I don't know, there was things about that just, Morgan, she tugged on those strings, and I'm like, God, girl, I feel you. And then she had the nerve to have a good ass story that just made her even more captivating and awesome.
Yeah.
And then I would say next would be Liliana. growing up in the chantry, you know, for us in the real world, in the church, my mother is a pastor's daughter. So I grew up very churched. I wouldn't call myself religious, but I'm more spiritual. I do believe in a world, and we'll talk more about that when we get to Veilguard, but understanding the spirits and understanding there's a hereafter and all that kind of stuff, you know, I related to Liliana, especially when she would say, the maker told me. I had this feeling. And those of us who believe in a higher power, haven't we had those moments where like we get this sense of we need to go this way versus that way, or those little callings, you know, and then people trying to call you out, especially when you go to the a temple of sacred ashes and you run into that spirit there, and that spirit kind of calls Liliana out, and it's just like, oh my God, I have been here before. Like, I'm telling you, man. Yeah, so I would say in Origins it's definitely Morgan and Liliana, because my God, those two women are so incredibly well written. And Liliana as a character, she's so bubbly and light. And I wouldn't compare myself to that level of bubbly and lightness. And I'm not obsessed with shoes, though I do like me a good pair. I really liked Liliana, and I loved the little song she did at camp. I don't know, she was very Disney princessy in that moment. I don't know. Now, when it comes to Dragon Age 2, it's Isabella. It's Isabella, because Isabella is me in the form of a woman, and if I was a sea pirate, okay? That is literally me to a T. I am that person. So yes, I am a skank. But I actually love her. Like, I absolutely adore Isabella. I like the way she was written. I liked her sassiness. I liked that she wasn't afraid to be sexy or sensual, you know, and usually, you know, femme fatales are written a specific kind of way, but the way she was written, she had an edge to her, like almost like I hate to say it, like a hood kind of, she was thug about herself. And for me, that's the kind of woman I would say, that one, that's the woman. You know what I mean? Like, I just loved her. I also like Fenris, but it is Isabella reigns supreme for me in that game. She is such a really cool character and very fun, and I can't get enough. Now, had I played the game, right, I would have romanced her. And then in Inquisition, I would be remiss if I didn't say Dorian.
Oh,
I would be right. Dorian is, even though, again, like I said earlier, I'm bisexual, I related to his story. So it was so visceral to understand what was happening in his story, that his family was willing to do conversion therapy on him to make him be something he wasn't, right? And remember what I said about Morgan. You know, you wear these masks to blend in, and as you know, people of LGBT, and this is another reason why it draws me into BioWare, because they don't always stick the landing, but they do understand LGBT or people of color or people of different nationalities, how we have struggles, and they put that in the story, and it's so real for a lot of us. You know, it's so real and it's so tangible. And this is my last thing to say, and then I'll get off this, and Nora, no, she'll be able to answer. It's one of the stories that hit me so hard. You know, for you, it might be a little different because you grew up in a different place. But for me, this was so true. I literally had an emotional cry. I'm not lying. It's in Origins when you play as the city elf and you see the two elven children running around and they're playing humans and something else. And the elf asks them, well, why don't you have stories about elves? Oh, well, there aren't any. Do you know how real that was for me as a Black man growing up in this country? Like, do you know how real that was for me? Because I don't see myself reflected in media or in stories or in fantasy. And you see what happens when people include us. It's taken in a far different direction. But that moment was so visceral and real. And I'm just like, damn, that is me. And I had to pause the video. I had to have a cry because I was like, damn, that hit me hard. I wasn't expecting it, This is the power of the writing, okay, y'all? So with that said, I'm gonna pass the torch to my girl. Who are your favorite characters and why?
Before I do that, did you ever have Cole in the party with Dorian?
Ooh.
After the bit with his father? And because Cole does that thing where he prods and pushes and tries to get you to feel what's leaving. And he's bringing up his father, and Dorian is like trying to shut it down. And then Cole is like, when Cole basically repeats what his father said, and it's like, Dorian is like, I wish you were you're not son of mine. And then Cole said, he wish he hadn't meant it.
Right. Look. Y'all don't understand. That shit hits hard. Cole is another one of my favorite characters in Inquisition. But yeah, man, like when Cole is around and he is telling everybody's like juicy bits, Cole is one of those characters that you only get once in a story. He is just unique. So yeah, Cole is the other one, but definitely Dorian. Dorian is my boo. Yes. Although I romance Iron Bull.
We love that. Okay. Right? So for me, because I want to just like mention everybody, and I know you didn't say, but I want to put a limit, because if not, I know myself. I have no filters. I'm going to keep going. So just like you, I'm going to choose 4 companions. Cool. Just like I'm going to choose 4 companions. And because I'm choosing 4, I'm going to, because I'm like, because there are 2 for Inquisition I definitely like. And if anybody has seen my channel, you already know which one of the characters from Inquisition, because there are 2 from Inquisition that are my absolute favorite. And then there are 2 from Origins, because I can't. So I'm sorry, like I love Dragon Age 2. If this is me purposefully putting a restriction on myself, and I apologize to everybody.
That's fair.
If not, we are going to be here all night. Okay. Origins, I would first start with Alistair.
Oh, yeah.
The reason why I love Alistair as a character is because Alistair for me is somebody who should have turned out wrong, who should have turned out angry or resentful, because to be fair, right, and it's subtext, but we can say that, his father, King Marek, abused his power in basically having an affair with Alistair's mother.
That part.
Right? And so therefore, one can definitely say that he's not a child born from consensual sex, right?
True.
And especially with the power imbalance, there is no way, even if y'all are like, oh yeah, his mother loved King Marek, I'm like, did she though? Because it's king. Like, did she? Do you know how hard it is to be like, yo, Your Majesty, I am not interested. Like, I'm certain she was not about to take that chance.
Right? Being an elf and all that. Yeah.
Right. And so you have the situation where Alistair is born from a mother who does not get to raise him, and then by virtue of no fault of his own, just by virtue of the circumstances of his birth, he's cast out from the only person that had started to become a father to him, right? And which is why he bonds so hard with Duncan. Duncan is the father figure that ends up seeing him and accepting him and choosing him and fighting for him and giving him a place in this world, right? And so therefore, I just, the fact that he can go through all of that, the rejection, the scorn, the world consistently shifting beneath his feet because there are people with more power over his life, and they always take that decision away from him. It gets to me every single time, and yet he is the sweetest, kindest,
Yeah.
Most amazing character. I'm like, Alistair, baby boy, I'm giving you all the heart, all the finger heart. I love him so much as a character.
Yeah.
Because it could have been portrayed as this person that is dealing with a lot of toxic masculinity by virtue of everything he's gone through, and he's not.
Yeah.
And which is so weird, because as a Templar, you're expected to be hyper masculine, this big buff, you know, always
manly
angry,
man.
and he has manly man, and he has all these reasons to be rightfully angry.
Yeah.
He isn't. And I'm just like, you are a treasure. Do I always make him king? Yes, unfortunately. Like, of course, like I've not literally played it, but every single time I go into that world state, I choose him as king. Not because I think he would, because I am so one. I think that's the tragedy of his character, the fact that his desires are never really taken into account, and somebody else is always making decisions for him. And even as a player, you get to make decisions for him. I never get him to be the one to have the god baby, because it's not fair to him. I'm like, I just think about the fact that I think of how he was born and how he was conceived, and I'm like, I can never do that to you. I'm so sorry, Alice. I can never do that to you. But do I always make him king? Yes. Why do I make him king? For selfish purposes. I do not want to have to choose between him and Hawk in the Fade. Like, nope. I'm always like, Alistair.
I feel you.
I'm always like, Alistair, baby boy, you're going to live. I need you to survive.
Yes. Look, he's a survivor. Look, Beyonce knew what she was singing, okay?
He's a survivor. He's gonna make it. I'm like, the only way you're gonna make it is to be king of Heralded. So, baby boy, take this crown. Be king. I know you're miserable. I'm sorry, but you're at least alive. And I'm gonna take that. So, first favorite character from Origins, definitely Alistair. Second favorite character from Origins, I'm going to go with one of your choices, Morrigan. I love Morrigan so much because she's somebody with such a prickly exterior.
That part.
Right? And I'm gonna admit, I'm a sucker for women that, you know, are traditionally hard to love, especially if they're very flawed.
Yeah.
You know, so if they are not the warm, accepting, comforting, you know, type character, there's always this. So I am a big fan of the bitch, like in stories.
Yes.
So I'm like, Morrigan, you're so hard to love, and that is why I love her. Because and I think for people that have like had that experience, I have had partners be like, you know, you're a bit too much, you're a bit too intense. And you know, that does something to your psyche as a child, as a teenager, as like in your early adults. You know, I'm 34. I've gotten to the point where I'm like, I'm perfectly comfortable.
Queen,
in
you making it look good, okay? Okay, that's how you do it, okay?
So I'm over here and I'm like, you know what? I've reached the point where I'm like, I like me, right? Not everybody would like me, but I like me, right? And so it's the same way I see Morrigan, right? I agree that, you know, that old bit of being sheltered and then being tossed into the world. I'm also an only child that was like tossed into the world, and you know, everybody was like, oh, you know, go make a name, like go do your own thing. I moved across cities from my hometown. Everybody I knew, I had to survive and scrape. And then you find out that the journey, that separation, that's moving out from your comfort zone is how you grow, how you learn, how you come into your power, how you come into who you are. Like kind of like, so that similarity with Morrigan's journey throughout Origins, right? So much so that by the time we do run into her in Inquisition, like, you know, the first time we see her in Inquisition, I was just like, she's hot. Like, just like you and by. So, just like you and by. And then she's walking down that stairs, and I'm like, hello.
Madam.
You know, the last time I had that visceral reaction was when we were introduced to Vivian earlier. Maybe I have a thing about hot women coming downstairs.
Yeah.
Maybe, because because I was like, because my brain was like, we could not romance Vivian, even though I kept trying. And she kept being like, oh, darling dear. And I'm like, don't darling dear me. Don't darling dear me platonically. Darling dear me romantically.
Come on now. Look. Continue. I'm sorry.
And she's like, oh, darling. I'm like, so, I'm like, okay. Vivian was a no-go. Maybe this is somebody we could romance. Nah. But, the Morrigan we meet in Inquisition, when you then go back, right? When I go back and I watch all the playthroughs with her in Origins, I'm like, she has evolved. Yeah. She has matured.
Yeah.
She has matured so much.
Yeah.
She's no longer the petulant child that you start with in Origins. She's this full grown-ass woman.
Yeah.
Who knows what she wants, who knows how to navigate and control a room and control a people and control an empress. I'm like, come on now. Morrigan, baby. So yes, definitely second favorite character. You see why I have to limit myself to 2.
Right. Yeah, but it's good shit. But continue.
It's good shit. So third favorite character from Inquisition, I've already given a hint, is Cole. I love Dorian. Yeah. I love Dorian's story. I love Dorian so much. I think that, all of us queers, we all are like, Dorian is a fave because we have been in a situation.
Hell
right?
Yeah.
We have been in a situation. So that whole belief that the people you love, the people that raised you, the people who should protect you, you're terrified of what if they change me because I'm not fundamentally who they want and what they think I should be, So we all relate so hard with his story, and Dorian would always hold my heart. But you've already mentioned Dorian.
Right.
And I'm like, I want to give my boy Cole some love because I love Cole so much. And I think that the reason why, because some of the fandom they don't spend enough time. And I think in a story that, like, when I say enough time, I mean enough time with him. And I think that in a story that is about the world ending and people who are driven by power, in the case of Corypheus, because he's so desperate for it, to have a character who is a very embodiment of compassion and kindness. Yeah. It just resonates so much. Yeah. Because Inquisition is such a fast-paced story. It is. Because things have been happening before our story starts. Like, you depending on your origins, you're making it to the conclave, things blew up, you're like, oh my god, you're like, the divine is dead, you're like, oh my god, and now you're a prisoner, you're like, oh my god, like, that's this. Oh yeah. It felt like everything was so rushed, you have to choose, you have to do this. Is it the Templars? Is it the Maid? Oh, okay, you have to go to Val Royeaux, you have to save this, you have to do this. Now you're being tossed back in time, and you're like, oh my god, we finally sealed the bridge, but now people are coming, and you're just everything. And then there is Cole, who is just this focal point of breathe, take it easy, right? And sure, because the way in which so I like him as a character in that, like I said, he represents compassion and kindness in the middle of all that is going on. But I also like him as a character because the way in which the writers use him to make commentary on things that are happening, like in other media, for example, that you might have missed. For example, it wasn't until usually I have never taken Cole to the Winter Palace. I've never taken him to Alam Shirel because I'm like, my poor baby boy. It's the same way, like because I'm currently doing a final playthrough before Veilguard drops in. Not like it's going to be my last playthrough of Inquisition. Of course, I'm going to keep playing Inquisition, but like my last playthrough before Veilguard comes in. And I'm like, okay, Cole, I'm taking you to the places I usually do not take you to. Right. So I took him to Crestwood, and that is where, before you get the reveal of what the mayor has done, when you go to turn the wheel, to drain the lake so you can go in to Old Crestwood. It goes like, oh, the will bears the weight. No, bears the shape of the mayor's shape. And I'm like, oh my God. Oh my God. Oh, right? Amazing.
Oh, or I'm sorry. Yeah, continue.
Because I took him to Alamshirol, and when he's like, when you come back and it's like she hid there behind the curtains and watched the blood of her parents pool, and you realize, oh shit, he's talking about Briala. He's talking about when Celine, had Briala's parents killed. Because after Max Empire, I was like, if I hear that I ever reunite Celine and Briala again in my life, I always found the lockets.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I always find the locket because I'm like, I don't trust you, this queen. There's a very high chance that after this story's ended, you might like show Briala that necklace and get back to her. So I always take the necklace and I always keep it because I'm like, I don't trust you, Celine. But I always let Celine know that, girl, I know what you did. I know you kept this, but I never tell Briala because I'm like, nah, you three can form a truce, but you're never going to I never want to see you all together again. Sorry, that's
we're on the same page. I'll put it this: for people who have not read the auxiliary material like the Mass Empire, Last Flight, Tevinter Nights, the comic books. Yeah, the comic. Yes. Oh, look, y'all are missing out on some good reading. They're also on Audible.
You should. Yes, they are also on Audible. Some of them are on Spotify. If you have Spotify audiobooks, so if you have a Spotify subscription, you can also get the books for free. And I think you can also check Scribd. That's Everand. If you have a Scribd subscription, because some of them are there as well. But yeah, so like I love the fact that the writers also use them as a way to be like, we're giving you little hints, because it seems like he's saying nonsense.
Yeah.
But he's also he's the one that sees everything.
He does.
Because he's a spirit, right?
Yeah.
Because he's a spirit. And so because he sees everything, it's just fascinating. If you have him in the party with Solus and Blackwall.
Oh, yes, honey. Yeah. Go. There's some shit that boy be saying.
It is so entertaining because every other sentence is like, this is the secret. This is his secret.
Right?
This is his secret. Look at his identity.
Yes.
So I like one, like I said, I'm a nosy ass bitch. So Cole lets me be nosy on a spiritual level. And I'm
it is.
That is my baby boy. He's my baby boy. So I love him. I love him for that, for the role he plays with regards to the writers, for who he is as a character, and also for how he just feeds me all the tea. Because I'm like, thank you, Cole. Thank you. And also because he doesn't censor himself.
Yeah.
I think that Cole, as a character, because I always look at each of these companions and each of these characters as like archetypes for human behavior.
Yes.
Right? And this is how, and from them, the writers are like, these are things we want you to know about these characters. And who knows, maybe you can learn these things for yourself. And Cole, for me, is a character that is all about, why should you self-censor? Be as weird and as honest in your weirdness as you can be.
Child.
You would always find somebody, you would always find your people, you would always find yourself, but at least you would be honest, because he is one of the most honest characters.
He is.
Like all the other characters are keeping things, like they are not willing to confront truths about themselves, about what they've done, but Cole is honest, and I love that for him. I absolutely adore. Also, shout out, I'm always team, let Cole remain in spirit. Like I get Varric's points.
Yeah.
I get, because Varric is like, he came to this world to be a human. I'm like, Varric, no, we are not about to rewrite this history. Even from what Cole said, he came to this world to help.
Yep, to help.
And by the time he had crossed over, the person he was there to help had passed on. He took on that mantle out of guilt. That it was
compassion.
Out of compassion, because it was like, I wish I'd been able to save him. So it wasn't like he was like, I want to be a human, I'm going to cross into the world. It's like, I want to save this person. And I'm like, I make him, Cole is always a spirit.
Yeah.
He's always a spirit for me. Even when I do different ones, I'm like, nah, baby boy, you are a spirit. And because I'm like, and I'm certain, oh my God, I can't believe I'm still talking. Okay, sorry.
I don't care. Look, because I keep telling you, I'm pretty sure everyone in the comment sections, we encourage you to answer these questions as well. And
Yes,
unlike
please.
you, I do the exact same thing. Cole needs to be a spirit. It's too vital to who he is as a character.
Yeah.
And it's so beautiful when you understand why you need to keep him a spirit, you know? And especially Solas's relationship with Cole. I'm sorry, especially when you understand Solas, it makes you really say, no, we need to keep him a spirit. No, but
we need to give him a spirit, which is a perfect segue to my second character, my OG favorite character in the position. Micah is laughing because Micah already knows this. It's Solas. Yes. I am a Solas girly. I am a Solas defender. I'm a defender of Solas' wrongs. I'm a defender of Solas' rights. I'm like, people are like, oh my God, he's trying to kill people. And I'm like, yes, I know.
Exactly.
So,
genocide.
Okay, people are like, he's committing genocide. I'm like, yeah, but like, I don't know about your people, but like, we are team freedom fighters here. If you have, right, and I honestly think that anybody that is watching both our channels can visibly tell, right, we are both Black people. We understand the brutality, the violence of settlers, and especially when it is that what they do to indigenous peoples, right? So that is something that anybody, and if it is that you're interacting with the story, you get it.
Yeah.
The reason why the elves are such an oppressed group, if you take the time to be like, why?
That part.
Right? So their old empire was built on, destroyed, stolen by Tevinter, to the point where those ones, based off of what you mentioned about the elves, right? They so erase their history.
That part.
Because that is part of what a settler colony state does.
Yep.
So you have those people, and after it was that, not only did that affect their mortality and their stories, they then had to have a long walk. They made it over to the Dales. Because I'm over here and I'm like, we all played Inquisition together. You saw the loveliness of Alam Shirel.
Yeah.
And if you ask the elves, what is Alam Shirel? Alam Shirel is where they were.
Yeah.
They moved. So they were displaced from Tevinter, made it over to the Dales, and still got displaced in the Dales. Yep. Because they did not have power. Because settler colony states always try to do, like, that's what they do with indigenous peoples. They always try to find a way to make sure that they use superior power to push them out.
Yep.
So I apologize if I am team the gods that is like, I'm going to restore your power. I'm going to restore that. I'm going to restore your legacy and your history and fuck everyone else. Like, sure, do we hope that there's a way in which, everything Solas wants can be achieved without, killing everybody else? Yes. But do I understand why is team? Why should I care about those people? Yes. That part. Like, I'm like, sorry, this is too close to real world events for us to not be like, why should we care?
Yes.
Why should we care? Like, why should we? Like, I get why we care as players, because we've played as other members of Ferelden society. You could choose to play as an elf in Origins, but some people chose the castless dwarf Origins or the noble dwarf, and some people chose to play as humans, and that is fine. And in Dragon Age 2, you are forced default to play as a human. Inquisition, you can choose to play as a Kunari. Even though we also recognize the fact that the Kun is also a settler, violent state that likes to enforce.
Exactly.
They're always like, oh, we are here to develop you to grow. Like, if you had Sten in your party in Origins, when you meet the Danish elves, when you meet the Danish elves, and they are talking about their history, and Sten is like, oh, the humans. And then, the keeper is like, Like the coon don't do the same thing. It's like, yes, what is with the coon? We will help you evolve. You know, we will bring civilization. I hate that word.
Oh my God.
Anyway, so I'm sorry, I got distracted. All of this to say that Soulless.
Look. This is why we love Dragon Age, but continue.
Right. All of this to say that I love Soulless because one, I understand where he's coming from, you know, and I've had people be like, oh, you know, but the way in which he talks to the Dalish elves, I'm like, yeah, because sure he wants to help save them, but at the same time, he's not going to be happy about it because they basically turned him into their devil in their stories.
Yeah.
Also, the fact that they glorified the rest of the Evermuris who were Gillenane was actively experimenting on people. If you get the armor, that skin that sucks.
Yeah.
If you read the codex entry, that was a person. That was an elf.
That was. And you're running around in that armor.
You are running. I have never ever since I read that codex, I'm like, I do not care that armor is the very best thing ever. I refuse to wear this thing because one, the amount of people that she had to experiment on, because you know, people think like, oh, she chose one elf. No, she had to experiment on hundreds of them to figure out how to mold skin to look like that, to become armor, before she was like, okay, you are the last and you are blessed. Like, she went through all her elven guinea pigs. Until she got to the last, and it was the last one that she was like, I finally figured it out. Like, what? So if I was soulless and I came, like, I was asleep after I helped save my people, and not only did you all turn me into a devil, excuse me, but also you all are worshipping the pieces of shit that were actively hunting and killing you, I would be pissed as well, you know. And I think that that's the beauty of, for example, if you play as a Dalish elven Inquisitor, like whether you romance him or you're just really good friends with him, the fact that he gets to see that, okay, you know, he might have been too rash in judging the Dalish. Not everybody is as horrible as he thought. I think it's a beautiful thing. So yes, I love Soulless because, and I have a full-on video that I talk about why I love Soulless, in defense of Soulless, because I love him so much. But just a quick summary of that, you know, like I said, he's a freedom fighter. He's someone that is fighting for for his people to have a better life. And sure, you know, he might go about it in a way that we find very uncomfortable, right? But I understand the why of it. And in addition to that, I also I love the fact that he's someone that is very curious. I love the fact that, you know, I mentioned in that video that he rewards your curiosity as the Inquisitor. And I think that he says a lot that of all the companions you get, Soulless is the one that is closest with Cole, a spirit of compassion. And the way in which you see this person who in Elven, whose name in Elven basically means pride, be the most compassionate to compassion. And it just does things for me, because I think it speaks to who he is as a character, the kind of person he is. Because if it is that he's somebody that is like, spirits are pure, they've really done nothing wrong, society always misjudges them, and you know, by extension, you apply that to his own story, what he set out to do, what is accomplished, and the you know, the backlashes received. I love Soulless as a character.
So it's really funny that we mention Soulless. So the next question is who is your favorite Dragon Age romance? Everybody wait. Start typing now.
Good love, because I would definitely be spending time in the comments to see what everybody's response to this question is, because I am sure everybody might have guessed. Just in case you could not guess, yes, I am a Soulless Mancer.
Yes, honey, all the Soulless love. Let's go.
I think it is beautiful. I think it's heartbreaking. I think it's tragic. I definitely think that I want to save him. Would I get to save him in Veilguard? I don't know. Because to be fair, Veilguard is not his romance story.
It's not.
And we're going to get into who we are going to romance as real quick. I'm excited about. But
This is why this is happening. Continue. I'm sorry.
but back to Inquisition, because I love Solus so much. Yes, I am a Solus Mancer. I think that he is swoon worthy. I know a lot of people are like, oh, what is your interest in that bald egg? I'm like, I'm sorry, but have you seen him?
Right.
You know, it's so funny because now people are like, we get the drip in Veilguard, and we're like, we loved him as a hobo.
Right.
We loved him. Like, we loved him during his hobo days. We love him still, whatever. Even when his toes were waving in the breeze, we loved him.
Hey.
We loved him either way. Definitely my favorite Dragon Age romance so far, because we've not met any of the companions in Veilguard, but so far my favorite Dragon Age romance is Solus. I have romance Colin, I have romance Dorian. Like Dorian is a second favorite for me. I like Morrigan's romance is beautiful to watch.
Oh yeah. But
I think that Solus is the only one of the romance options we get that actively grows and evolves and changes through your relationship with him, just as you do because of his relationship with you. Yeah. Right? Because he's the one that learns. He's the one that realizes that, oh, okay, I might have misjudged. This world is, and I think that is just what is beautiful for me personally. Right. Because I am a big fan of romances where both partners, both parties are able to gain something from that relationship, where we are able to see that they both evolve and change over the course of the story. And with Iron Ball, and that's the thing, like, with Iron Bull, yes, it does change, but I would not still put that on the same pedestal, on the same level as with Solus, right? And it's also what makes it so tragic, because his character is like, I see you. I recognize the change you've brought to me. That scares me, because you're changing me so much on a fundamental level that I might actually give up on what I've set out to do. And that is what terrifies him and why he steps away. Yeah. Do I still in Crestwood be like, I'm still gonna love you? Yes. do I still tell him, even after he's breaking my heart and he's removed my bars? Because I always agree to, like, the minute it's like slave markings, and when you learn about the Avadores, I'm like, please remove it. And then, when he's removed that and all of that, and then he breaks your heart, and my heart is breaking, and I'm still like, I still choose to still love him, even though our relationship is over. And even in Trespasser, I still choose to save him, not stop him. And of course, we're saying this because there's a part in this conversation, so we're going to talk about the choices thing with BioWare, but we'll get to that in a bit. But yes, so that is my absolute favorite romance in Dragon Age. What about yours, Micah?
Well, I'm gonna be honest with you. I wasn't a Solus Mancer until I romanced him. And everything she just described, I agree. But my absolute favorite romance, and I'm sorry, it's not as in-depth, it's not as enthralling. But
it's okay.
Right? It's actually Iron Bull. It's actually the Iron Bull.
I was like, Dorian, no way! Oh!
Yeah, even though I like, hear me when I say this, Dorian's story is one of the best. It's one of the best. It really is. Yes. His story is just one of the best. This is why so many people refer back to him when we learned that the companions were all pansexual, which I don't have a problem with. But a lot of people would say, well, you don't get stories like Dorian, because it's true.
Like Dorian's.
Dorian's story is just, it's top notch. David Gator, you did your thing, bruh.
You did your thing.
Right? But for me, it's Iron Bull. And when I first played Inquisition, the romance I wanted was Vivienne. When I first saw her walk down those stairs and she did that ice spell, and she was like, what are you doing in my house? And that voice, that woman's voice, that does shit to a man, let me tell you.
I'm a woman.
Right? That woman's voice. Hallelujah. Now, when I realized I couldn't romance her, I went to Josephine. And I love Josephine's romance.
It's so cute.
It's
adorable.
If you want a cutesy, wholesome little cutesy romance, Josie is your girl. And you will not be disappointed.
Especially the part where she's like, fight for my hand. I'm like, oh, Josie! Josephine, baby!
Woo! Again, that'll do shit to him. It'll do shit to you. Yeah, I like her romance. It's very adorable. It's very beautiful. One of my favorite parts of the romance is when it's the early days and you're getting her to come back to your room to talk to you. And she's like, oh my goodness, we've been up here for an hour and I still have so much to do. And it's like, you stop her and you're like, no, I enjoyed this time with you. And it's just like, girl, like, I don't know. It's me. It's a guy thing. When you make either the same or opposite gender blush, it's like, fuck yeah. Like 10 points. Like, I'm sorry. But I loved it. It was so beautiful. It was such a good story. But we're here to talk about the bull, right? One, it's Freddie Prinze Jr. I've had an obsession with that man since I was a teenager. I love Freddie Prinze Jr. Freddie, the kind of character Iron Bull is the kind of man I like in real life. It may sound stupid and strange, but no, when you understand what role he's playing, he's a spy. On the surface, he seems like this meathead. Remember, he even says it, oh, I like the name Iron Bull. It makes me sound more like a thing than a person, right?
Yeah.
But how well he's able to analyze and read somebody. I love it. When you start talking to him outside of camp, and you're like, oh, Colin and Cassandra would do well in the queue. They love rules, right? Then he was like, well, Liliana and Solas, they wouldn't do too well. They'd be off in a minute, right? And he's able to look at someone and just break them down in seconds. And I love that. In addition to how he's able to read people, I like his very calm demeanor. Like, he's very chill, very laid back. I love when you meet his chargers. And that's another reason why I love this character, because he found these pieces and he put something together that was incredible. Especially when you understand what he did for Krem. When you understand Krem's story, Krem is another character I would have loved to romance, but he wasn't romanceable.
He was not romanceable. I'm so sad.
Right? But when you learn his story, he's another one of those characters that just has these quiet stories in the background that are so impactful. Because again, I'm not transgender. I don't know anything about that life. But I understand being different, And the fact that his father kind of already picked up, my kid is different, but I love them anyway. Don't we all want that story? Like, that is something about Krem is so beautiful. And I love that Iron Bull, when you think about the Qun, now remember what Nora said earlier about the Qun, it's about being structured and you are what you are and there is no different. If you're a baker, you're going to die a baker. You can't be a baker and decide one day, oh wait, I'm going to pick up a sword. What the hell are you doing? Men are men, women are women, and you play that role. And to understand the Iron Bull as a not really a Talvashov. Well, he's pretending to be a Talvashov, but he's a spy. Yeah. And you learn about this relationship between him and Krem, but all the other chargers. It's beautiful. He created a family for himself. And you could tell he really loves them. In his own way, he loves these guys. So I can never sacrifice the chargers. Because one, I fell in love with them, right? Forever. Right? I can't sacrifice them. Sorry, Dreadnought. I'm sorry, Gatlock, but you gonna be mad, little elf.
I don't need that ship. I don't need that ship.
Right?
What?
Right?
People trump ship every time. What?
That part. Right? And it's when you see that you save them And then he's like, and you see after that a moment happens, and you see Krim has learned the technique that he was trying to teach him. And he's like, all right, you finally get it. And it's just like in that moment, it's like, yes, I made the right decision. I saved some good people. And you can tell he's grateful. You can tell he's grateful. He doesn't outwardly say it, but he's grateful, you know? And it's just the way he's written, it's just, he's so subtle in certain things. It's really good. And then when it comes to the sensuality of his romance, he checks all the marks for me. He checks all the marks. The way he was like, I get it, you want to ride the bull. And the way he like pins you against the wall, again, as I said before, the way that these people understand. And then again, the BioWare writers, what y'all going on in y'all bedroom? I'm just kidding, no. Right? But he pins you against the wall, and the Inquisitor gasps. Whether you play male or female, I usually always play as a male until I romance Solus. And the way the Inquisitor goes, and then he says, a lot harder. And I'm like, you know what? Good writing. And you understand the arc of the romance. Like, it starts off sexual, but then also you bring Cole. Well, I forget where you are. I think it's like you're in one of the, I think it's like the area where all the snow, I can't think of the name of the area.
Emprise de Lyon.
Yeah.
Empire de Lyon. Oh God,
yeah.
It's French.
Yeah,
sounding.
It's French. There you go.
Empire de Lyon. I'm thinking somebody right there who has a better French accent is like, no, it's pronounced. Yes, thank you. Please tell us how it's pronounced, because I call it the Emprise de Lyon.
That's how I say it. I'd go based on the characters. But you bring Cole, and Cole starts analyzing your relationship. This is why we love Cole. He's like, he teases not to anger, but to stimulate. And you understand what the Iron Bull is really doing. Yes, it's a sexy thing, but also at the same time, when you think about the Inquisitor's position, anybody, you are literally the head of an organization, of an army, of a group of people. And it is your say that people live or die or flourish. And if you don't do your job well or right, you can leave Thetis in a total fucked up state. You know what I mean? And when you understand the Iron Bull is taking that pressure off of them, if you are someone who's ever been the head of an organization or the leader of something, and it doesn't have to be sex, that's not the point. It's about a partner saying, I see what you're going through. I understand. Let me be the thing that you can unwind with. With me, take your hair down, sit down, relax. I got you. That is what we want in a partner. That's what we want. And that's why I love Iron Bull's romance. It's sexy, but it's also something as me, because I'm a person that makes a lot of decisions for a lot of people, including my own family. It's a tough position to be in. And I'm married, and my wife is that for me. She is that person that says, it's okay. With me, you don't have to wear the veneer. You don't have to wear armor for me. Just be you, and I love you at the core. That even though Iron Bull, you can give him that little dragon horn piece thing.
The dragon horn.
Yeah. And it's Kadan, you're my heart. I get it. Because their way of life is different. They don't do marriage, but they do believe in love. That is something I could so get behind. And I related to that, not the not marriage part, but just the beauty of their relationship is incredible. And then you go into Trespasser and you bring Bull with you. And you see where the moment of a critical decision, he can betray you or stay with you. And he says, hell no, ma'am. And I'm like, that's my boy. That's my boy. We about to fuck these fools up. I just love it. All of the romances are really well done. It doesn't matter who you romance. They are very well done. Each character has something that you can pull from, relate to, and Solus will break your heart and you'll be like, damn. Now, if Solus was bisexual, Thetis would be doomed.
They cannot handle it. Mm-mm. They cannot handle that boiled egg. They cannot handle it. Nope. You know the funniest thing about Iron Bull?
Mm-hmm.
Because I also like watching like interviews with the writers, right?
Yes.
And just the way in which you see how they analyze and break down. Like every single time I see a Trick Weeks interview, I am happy because the understanding they have of this character.
Yeah.
And Trick, there was that interview where Trick was saying that, they found it funny that a lot of people were like, oh my God, we cannot believe this, blah, blah, blah. We sacrificed the Chargers and now Iron Bull has turned, blah, blah, blah. And they were like, I'm sorry, but you told Iron Bull to choose the coon.
Yes,
and now
did.
You're surprised that he chose the coon?
That part.
Like, wow, if it isn't the consequences.
Right? That part. So, like, again, these characters are so well written. This is why, even though...
And it's so believable.
Right. Even though I'm be honest with you guys, I've never romanced Cullen and I've never had an interest in romancing Cullen, but I've seen his romance and it is very lovely. It's a very lovely romance.
It is I think it's the only romance that you actually marry.
Yeah.
He and Cassandra, I think.
Yeah.
Right? I think Is the only romance that you actually like. And I'm like, oh, that is so cute. Because I romanced Cullen once. Just because I wanted to see, like, I did all the romances up until Solus. Because I wanted to go through everybody to have an idea. So, I romanced Colin, I romanced Josie, I romanced Dorian, I romanced Iron Bull.
Right.
Oh, and then I was like, okay, so I'm going to romance Solus, and then after that I would romance Cassandra, and then I would romance Sarah. Turned out
roadblock.
Because once I got to Solus, I was like, I cannot in good conscience romance anybody else ever again.
Right?
Fuck my life.
Right? That's kind of what happens, y'all. It really does. And then when you play with him in the Hinterlands, even though, yes, we understand that's a huge part of the map, but it's in those little moments where you're helping the people.
Moments.
He's constantly approving what you're doing.
He's constantly approving because he's like, yes, please help them. These people are devastated. They need help, right? And you're like, yes, thank you. This person that owns my heart, you get me. He's such a kind person.
He really is.
And to him, destroying the world is doing it a kindness.
Right.
And it breaks your heart because you're like, Solus, let's find I'm still undecided if my rook is going to be tin.
Right?
I see what you did there. Or my rook is going to be like, excuse me?
Right?
I think I would love to start as an excuse me rook and go all the way to come on, Solus. We can make this. Because I think it makes sense that rook would initially be antagonistic. Like in my head, it's like he's like, who the hell are you? You're trying to ruin the world, blah blah blah, and everything else. And I don't know how they're bringing in the Inquisitor, and if the Inquisitor will be able to give Rook some advice and maybe better understanding of who Solus is as a character, depending on what choices you made. We're going to get to the choices soon, people. But yeah, so like that is going to be fun. Oh my god, I cannot believe I still want the conversation back to so we went from like Iron Bull to the Chargers, and we still found our way back to Solus.
Right? Because I'll put it like this: Solus is one of the best written antagonistic characters in a video game. There are others, but Solus is definitely in the top 10. He's so well written. Patrick Weeks, you knew what you were doing when you picked up that pen and said it will be mighty.
Left no crumbs.
That part.
And understandable because like they were also the one that gave us they were also the ones that gave us more than Solus, and I'm like, you know what? I can see that, of course, it's the same brain that was like, here is Morden, this very brilliant Solarian scientist and fighter who is like, we're going to do everything to make sure that this is done and this happens and blah blah blah. Of course, it's the responsibility to stop the genophage. It's the right thing to do. And then you see him in Mass Effect 3, and he's like, I want to do right by this. I
Yeah.
want to fix this. I want to help
Yeah.
fix this. And then it's going up. Someone, it had to be me. Someone else would have gotten it wrong.
Yeah. Excellent writing. He could do a writing class on that. You could just do a writing class on that and just learn so much of how Patrick, well, I keep saying Patrick because Trick Weeks, how they understand almost the human psyche in a lot of ways. They're very in tune with themselves. That's the best way to put it, to be able to do that.
Yeah, very in tune. And I also think it's an intimate study of what makes human, like us as human beings, us as people, tick. This is, and of course, we would also love to hear in the comments the responses to this, but is there anything about Dragon Age that you would say changed your life or changed you on a fundamental level?
I would say yeah.
Okay.
One, again, this may sound strange to a lot of people, but it helped me be more comfortable with being bi. You know? It helped me see in our real world, being who I am is a problem for so many. It really is.
Yeah.
And to play in a world where that is not even a thought. It's not even a thought. It might be hinted at here and there. Some people aren't down with that, which is fine. And I'm not saying everyone has to be. But to see it in a way where, you know, when you first meet, you know, what's his name in Origins, the elf.
Zevran?
Zevran. And how he just talked about his life, his relationships. And it was just, who cares? It's just, this is me, you know? And that was the first time they introduced a, you know, male-male romance, even though he was still bi, it was still a male-male romance. And then when you play Dragon Age, you know, going back to Inquisition, you know, Iron Bull just, it doesn't matter what gender you are, he's just into you.
Yeah.
You know? And it's just, same thing with Josie. Same thing, doesn't matter. She's just into you. You know, and I like that. And it, for me as a person, you know, with my own relationships and past, you know, I largely lived that life quietly. And now I don't anymore. It helped me feel more comfortable in my own skin. And to some people, it might be like, how? Why aren't you just comfortable in your own skin, living your life? But almost, it's like, how can you find a connection in fictional character? I always say there's so much reality in fiction that helps you see things more broadly, I guess.
Yeah.
You know, when you think about Josie, she's a noble woman. You know, she is of wealth. And again, she's one of those characters I relate to. She's in a position of power and she has to make all these little decisions, you know? And being bisexual just isn't even a thing on her mind. It's just she loves who she loves, right? Yeah. And that's how it should always be. You know, and I don't know, just those kind of things for me resonate so deeply that it helped me be more comfortable with myself. And it's weird. It may seem stupid, but yeah.
It's not.
Thank you.
It's not.
And then being able to see myself reflected in the world. Again, this is part of the reason why I love this universe so much. It changed me to see, you know, Black men aren't always on the cover of things. Hell, there's a Black man getting ready to, you know, a real world person that's about to hit the scene that we'll talk about on another video, but a company had to pull their horses back to, I guess, brace people for Impact when the game comes out next year in February. And to see how the world responded to a real person that's just put in a fictional world, it's shocking. But to see that in Dragon Age or in Mass Effect, I can create myself and no one bats an eye. Nobody cares. And I would love to be that way in the real world. Like, nobody cares what you look like or who you are or what you love. And those things affected me. And just understand, like Naria said, like when you think about Solus and what he's doing, he's a freedom fighter. He's fighting for the people. When you understand how horribly oppressed the elves are, and I think about that in my people in this country, I hate to bring it back to that, but there's so many real world tie-ins that me as a real person, I can't help but I see the tie, I see the connection, I see the thread, you know? So I don't know. This game, it's hit me in a place that it's buried itself in my heart, in my mind, in my spirit, and I just can't let go. I can't let go. Yeah. But what about you?
I would say, just to you, Micah, and to anybody else that is like, you know, watching and all of that, being able to see ourselves represented in fictional characters and having that fictional character be a core part of us, you know, accepting parts of our identity is one part of what art is about. That is what it's made for.
Yeah.
You know, and I think it's a beautiful thing. I also realized that I'm bi, not because of Dragon Age, interestingly enough, even though I came to that realization like maybe 2 years prior to that,
Gotcha.
but it was because of another fictional character, Magnus Vane. If you're watching this and you have ever watched Shadowhunters the show or read the books, the Mortal Instruments series by Cassandra Clare, you know who I'm talking about. But like Magnus Vane is a core part of why I am not only okay with who I am, but very proud of my identity. Like you cannot talk shit to me. I don't care. And then when I realized, like, do you know the amount of cool, absolutely cool, fantastic bi characters that they are in fiction, in media, in video games, you know, like, I'm like, nah, you cannot say this shit to Iron Bow and get to keep your teeth. And so therefore, I am going to be looking at you and be like, you do not know. If I had a Kunari, if I had Kunari horns right now, I would be beating your ass, but just not beating your ass in my mind. But there also your words are not getting through because, like, who are you? Like, nah.
Right.
so just putting it out there. For me, I think it's, you know, I've already mentioned the fact that, you know, with Cole, I learned to embrace my weird, right? Embrace it, because that is something that I've been told, you know. With Morrigan and Vivienne, I embrace the fact that sure, I am a confident woman that some people would consider a bitch. Somebody has called me a bitter feminist before, and I'm like, thank you. You missed the word angry. I'm also angry. You need to be like angry.
Put that in there.
Bitter, like put it in there. Let's give me all the adjectives so you understand that I am not here for your bullshit. So you know, with like characters like Vivienne and Morrigan, I'm like, they're like, you know what, accept. Part of owning your power is owning the fact that nobody else gets to define who you are. And I see that with those characters in these games. And it's just something that, you know, stays with me. And just on a, you know, with Solus, it's like, embrace your hyperfixations. If you want to study something the way Solus has decided to study the Fade, please do it.
Yes, do it. And shamelessly.
Do it shamelessly. Even when you're alone, it's great. And who knows, you might find someone who is like, I find that very, very fascinating. Tell me more. Just like, you know, Solus decided to find my Lavellan, and now, you know, they're in heartbreaking love together because trauma, but we loved it. When it was good, it was good. But also outside of the way in which what I had to learn from the characters, I would say on a larger scale, the fandom itself, because I think that the Dragon Age fandom is filled with so many, you know, thoughtful, intelligent, smart, caring, you know, talented people who are funny, who, you know, are obsessed with this game the way we are. And it just makes me believe that, yes, I have a place in the world and these are my people. So that's something else that Dragon Age has brought to my life. The community, being a part of this group of people, you know, people like you, Micah, people like those that are watching us right now, who love this world, who love these characters, who love the stories, who want to talk about it like we're talking about it right now. And who are just as excited, looking forward to the Veilguard dropping in like a week from today. So like those are what I would say you know, has been brought into my life, courtesy of Dragon Age, and how it has changed me on the fundamental level.
Yeah, I agree with you on the fandom. This is gonna be a hot take, What is your favorite Dragon Age game? I take everybody.
Oh, you know what? Because I know that the Origins is the best game, and honestly, Origins is good.
Yeah,
I would still say Dragon Age Inquisition. Not just because it's the first game, and before, because I know that there are people that might be like in the comments being all like, well, you cannot make that decision because you technically, neither of you really played the game, so blah blah blah. I'm like, yeah, but I have watched way too many playthroughs. Shout out to Maple Collops on YouTube, who like does the most amazing, fantastic playthroughs for the entire game. Like, he took his time. So I watch a lot of playthroughs of the game, and so the reason why I actually like Dragon Age Inquisition, even though I admit that the combat is a bit clunky, I hate the fact that as a mage, I just have to be there tapping on one key, especially because I'm like Knight Enchanter. I'm like, I want to be able to do cool stuff, but instead I have to just be like tap 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 tap, and my sword is moving. I'm like tap tap tap. I'm like,
right.
Anyway, shout out to Veilguard for giving us much better combat.
I
cannot wait.
Honey.
So yes, the combat is clunky, and I know a lot of people have a problem with the open world. I actually love the open world because I do love exploring places. So for me, it was not a minus, it was a bonus. It was something that actually did bump the story up for me, because I do think that Dragon Age 2 does not get enough love. So Dragon Age 2 is my second favorite. Origins is also a favorite, but like on a scale, it's Inquisition 2 and then Origins. Of course, when Veilguard comes in, I'm going to have to like figure out
reevaluate
exactly. But Inquisition, because yes, like I love the open world. Right, I love the open world. I do love the characters. Like I said, Solus is my favorite character across, one of my favorite characters across the franchise, and is definitely my favorite romance across the franchise. So that does, contribute a lot. But I also think that there is sort of variety with the amount of companions and characters that we get in Dragon Age Inquisition compared to others that I actually really like. So it was not just the numbers. It's not just the numbers, because like Origins has more companions. You get 10 companions, right? You get 10 in Origins, right? Inquisition, you only get 9. Yes, you get 9. You get 9. So Inquisition, you already get 9 because you have 3 rogues in Sarah, Varric, and Cole. You have 3 mages. You have 3 mages in Vivienne, in Solus, and in Dorian, my baby boy, Necromancy. And then you have 3 warriors in Cassandra, Blackwall, and of course Iron Bull. So there are 9 companions. So technically Inquisition does have less. Dragon Age 2 has the least amount of companions so far. We're not yet counting Veilguard. And so, but like even with the 10 that Origins has, I still think that Inquisition has more of a variety. Right? You have the spirit. You have the elf who does not like elven people for no reason. But you understand the reason why. You have the storyteller who is there because he was kind of like coerced into it, and he's also dealing with the guilt because it's like, why did he have to be forced? And you have to be like that conversation you have with Varric when Varric is feeling guilty about, how he might not have been willing to save the world, and you're like, but you're here now, and that matters, and like you're a good person at heart, Varric, right? You have Vivienne, who I know the fandom hates. I love her because I love her because I always tell people that, especially Vivienne haters, and if you're a Vivienne hater and you're watching this video, ask yourself this question, right? What is it? Who is it that bears the brunt when you have a subset of an oppressed group decide to fight back? Right? Because it's everybody else that suffers. Like, sure, they understand why the subset is fighting for freedom, but it does not mean that everybody else does not suffer. And that is Vivienne's deal. The fact that she wants to protect the rest of the mages, and to her, the circle is a way to do that. Do we agree that the circle as a concept is flawed? Yes. Do we think that the circle can be fixed? Because I always find it fascinating that the people that are like, oh, we hate Vivienne, do not hate the Templars. And I'm over here like, I see you. But sorry, I digress. Like I was saying, like, so you have Vivian, you have Iron Bull and everything that he's dealing with, you have Blackwall. Like, I think that it's such, you have Cassandra, right? It's such a well-rounded group. So I love the fact that, you know, there's more of a variety with regards to companions. I like the fact that with Dragon Age Inquisition, you get the humor and you also get the darkness. And I know a lot of people are like, Origins is the only dark one. And I think that the reason why they make this whole belief, or rather this statement, that Origins is the only dark Dragon Age game, and you know they don't really consider Inquisition as dark, is because of they don't enjoy the open world part of Inquisition. Because if they did, right, then they would know that there are some things you discover when you're exploring the world of Inquisition that is terrible and scary as a concept. If you use if you do the Chateau d'Enterre, quest if you discover it, and that's the thing, it's not a mark, it's not a quest marker. You have to explore the world and just stumble on this palace and find out that, you know, the mage daughter, you know, became an abomination, and unlike Connor that you could save people, everybody died. Everybody died because like Isolde, her parents were thinking that there's a way in which they could help. They could, you know, save her, not need to send her to the circle. And like, that is heartbreaking, because you understand why a parent would not want to condemn their child to that. But now everybody's dead, including their child. You know, you stumble on a notebook and find out that, oh, the way in which you've been able to find the shards, the skull, it's made from tranquil skulls. Like, there are things that you discover while exploring Inquisition that is just very dark. So I love that Inquisition has, you know, the comedy and also the dark parts. And I also love the fact that at its core, it's such a good story. It's such a good story about faith. Right? Is it faith in a higher power? Is it faith in yourself? Is it faith in your companions? Right? Is it faith in a history and then what it means when you lose that faith? What it means when your faith is challenged? If you're a Dalish elf, what it means for you to realize that the gods you always assumed were your gods were benevolent gods, were not. What it means that the core part of your tradition that is a slave marking. Like, what does, like, it's such a beautiful, well-told story. And this is not to say the other Dragon Age stories are not that good, but that is why Inquisition is a game I come to over and over again. I love it so much because it has all the bits of the stories that I enjoy, and it's all here together. And Inquisition is the first time that you get to play as a Kunari, which is a big deal for me.
That part. I love it. But this is what I'm gonna say. I agree. I totally all the things that Noria said is exactly why I love Inquisition. It's so good. And Vivienne is why I always make her divine, because you understand, she as a mage understands privilege, power, but the struggle of the mage. And she gets it in a way that most people don't understand, because they're caught off guard by her icy demeanor. When you find out that the shards are skulls of tranquil, listen to how her voice quivers when she's like, I thought they were safe. She takes responsibility for that. She owns up to that. And she also says, oh, I'm so sorry, my dear. No, like... I love the story so much. Just continue. No, it's just, when you understand Vivienne's position, when she said, we are outmatched 100-1, be damned we have magic. We still need a sanctuary to be safe. And how many of us, I hate to bring it back to being a Black person, but how many of us of color had needed a haven? We needed a place of safety, because the world constantly looks at us as the enemy. We are the enemy only because we were born. We didn't ask for this life. We're just here. And this is the world we're put in. Like, again, I love origin story. I love Hawk's story, but Inquisition is my story.
It is so good.